and welcome to another episode of Music Crusaders. I'm JJ. I'll be your host this evening. And today I'm really excited to have on the show. We have the pop, goth, metal, rock, everything in between band Living Dead Girl. So let's welcome to the show right now. I'll let you all introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Molly.
Hi, I'm Jordan.
And we're 2 out of 4 members of Living Dead Girl.
All right, welcome. So glad to have you on the show. Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
It's amazing. You guys have just released new album back in June, but we'll get to that in just a little bit. So basically, here on Music Crusaders, we are a part of Comic Crusaders as well. So we always like to talk about, like, in the beginning, to get to know you guys a little, is kind of like your origin story. So I'd love to hear, how the band all came together and, what your story is on the band.
How the band came together. Do we tell this story?
Yeah, let's do it.
Just picture a 16-year-old Molly frustrated because she can't find band members in a small town in Ontario, Canada. Facebook, Kijiji, like job listings, can't find band members. Went on Tinder, swiped right on every single guy holding a guitar until I came across Jordan here, the only other original member of the band. We formed the band. I was 16, he was 17, so a few years ago now.
It's been some time.
So we are the only 2 original members, and that's how it all came together. I just messaged him, was like, hey, you play an instrument, make a band with me. And he was like, okay.
And there we are.
That's basically how that happened. We joke this is the only successful relationship to come out of Tinder.
Yeah, well, so there was nothing ever like romantic between you guys. It was just strictly business from the beginning.
Yeah, like I literally just
Awesome.
swiped right on anyone that had a musical instrument and sent them the same blanket message, just like, hi, join a band with me. And he's just like, oh, okay.
That's amazing. I'm sure they probably have like an app for that now, or at least they should, where it's just like find a band, swiping. Awesome. Well, yeah, so I like to talk about, the mashup of your music is so interesting because you guys have, this like pop goth, like it's like catchy choruses, but also very dark at the same time. It's such a great balance of, like, heavy darkness and then also like lightness as well. Is that something you knew from the beginning, that you wanted to create music like that, or is that something that just kind of came about organically?
I think that came a bit later because when we first started playing music together, like we were making it like really heavy, like no elements of pop, no melodic catchiness. It was just heavy music for a long time. And we worked with a few different producers and we met with different like labels and stuff who we ended up turning down. And everyone was telling us just go heavier, go heavier. Like they were telling me like don't even sing, just scream.
Oh, wow.
So like more in the realms of like black metal or death metal or whatever you want to call it. But I had to like really kind of put my foot down. I was working with different producers and getting different advice from different people and say like, I'm not having fun. I was like, I can't perform really, really heavy music. I like listening to it, but on stage, just screaming and headbanging, I was like, I want to sing and dance around too. Like I'm equal parts as in love with heavy metal music as I am with like, early 2000s pop punk music and like Avril Lavigne and even like Pink and stuff. Like I didn't want to just like completely limit myself and make such a small niche type of heavy music. So we started out a lot heavier than Exorcism ended up being. Like by the time we'd done demos and re-recorded the album like 10 times, it got poppier as we went.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So, and then, like with that kind of migration towards, the style you're most comfortable in, do you feel like this is where, you found your spot, your niche, kind of the balance in between the two? Or do you see yourself going more pop in the future, or, more goth or metal in the future, or somewhere in between?
I feel like we will experiment a little bit because like I don't want to get bored with it. But when I listen to Exorcism, I think this is what it was meant to sound like all along. It really embodies my personality. I think like the playful, fun, like I almost call them squeaky sounding vocals, like the cheerleader kind of vocals mixed with the screams. I'm like, this is just like who I am. So it suits me so much. I do want to do some songs that are like more scream heavy, more breakdown. It's like I do want to do some heavier music, but overall I'd like to kind of stick within this little world we've created musically because so many people have responded to it that it's obviously working.
Yeah, that's amazing. And yeah, I don't think I see any other bands out there that's doing anything like you guys are. It's very unique. It's a very cool, mashup of sounds.
Thank you.
And like you were saying with like the cheerleader, like especially in like Exorcism, I love that like cheerleader section that you hear a lot in like pop punk, like early 2000s music, and I thought that was awesome.
Thank you.
And yeah, I think the Avril Lavigne influences definitely show as well.
Yeah, you don't hear that often that you're influenced by Avril Lavigne when you sing metal.
Yeah. Do you follow that conspiracy that she's been replaced by someone else?
Oh my gosh, so many people message me that. I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm normally one to, okay, fine, let me hear your conspiracy theory, but that one I'm like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I think we have an image somewhere of your guys' newest album, Exorcism. And there's also okay, let's just talk about the cover art for a second because it's probably one of the coolest cover arts. Like I'm curious what, your experience was like doing, all the first of all the music videos and like the shoot for this cover album. I mean, I assume there was some like special effects involved, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was actually standing on a stool for that, and then she just photoshopped the stool out to look like I was floating. There was also another picture from that shoot. I don't even know if I've ever posted anywhere, but where I'm like laying down. And I originally wanted the laying down floating picture for the cover. Like I was thinking that, but then once I saw the standing one, that picture was so striking. Like the second we saw that photo, like it was myself, the producer, the manager, like the second we got that photo from the photographer, we're like, that's the cover.
That's the one, yeah.
It wasn't like the one that I planned on making the cover, but once I saw it, I was like, that's it.
Awesome. And like so well, we kind of flipped through a couple photos from Exorcism. Yeah, that one. And the one where you're upside down too. How much fun was that? Like just doing that music video?
That was an ab workout. That
It
video was actually hilarious. I was wearing whiteout contacts for all of the exorcism scenes, which was about 8 or 9 hours total of filming.
Oh,
And I was completely 100% blind in them.
wow.
So just imagine being on a film set with an entire crew around you and they're saying like, look at the camera and stuff, but like they can't see the camera. And my eyes were starting to get tired and stingy at one point when they were filming your scene where you like hit the wall, because I wasn't in it at all. So you guys had like an hour of me off camera.
Yeah.
I literally fell asleep sitting on the bed with my eyes open. It was kind of freaky. I literally, like, it was like 3 a.m. We filmed till like 6 a.m.
Yeah, the whole day I think was like, what, 15, 16 hours probably?
We started at like noon and we went until like 6 a.m. But that video was fun. Yeah, it was fun to film. It's because it's the kind of thing that at the time it was annoying, but it's a funny story later. Like I couldn't see anything. Like you guys were going up to me like, and I didn't even know you were there. Everyone took selfies with me as like a prop, and I didn't see them until after. Like Jordan's just like probably like,
yeah.
And I'm just like laying on the bed, just sitting there, and I like can't see that people are laughing at me.
It's like your friend who passed out drunk, except for you're fully conscious in a way.
Literally, it was actually really trippy. Even like to get from the makeup part, like the makeup room in the studio, to get to the set, like I had to have a person on either side walking me because I was like, now I know what it feels like to be blind. I'm like, I'm not good at this. It was an interesting experience.
Well, it turned out great. I think your sacrifices for partial blindness was worth it.
Oh, it totally was. And like even like the director was like, if you need to take them out, like let me know. And I was like, nope, I'm gonna do it. He's like, do you want to take a break? I'm like, nope, let's just power through it.
Till 3 a.m. Awesome. So obviously like in this album, and especially with your music videos, Exorcism and Poltergeist, there's like definitely this horror movie theme that you got going on. I'm assuming you're a big horror movie fan, both of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You more so than me, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more of a horror fan. I like watching. Well, I'll watch anything.
What are some of your favorites?
Halloween. I love Rob Zombie's take at it. That's definitely my favorite. Anything Rob Zombie's made is just like the best. Other than that, like Pennywise is another one of my favorites too.
So you're like an old classic horror movie guy,
Yeah.
You tend to grab it. Like, do you like more of like the newer? Because I know a lot of people, there's this big dichotomy between like the old classic horror movies and like the newer stuff. Some people tend to not like the newer stuff if they like the old classics.
Yeah, the newer stuff is cool, but I do like the older stuff. I find that it feels a little bit more scary just because of how like it looks. Obviously, they can do like a lot more with effects now, but I definitely love all the older movies for sure.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the effects you kind of lose something. Like if you go back and watch like Hellraiser, like the special effects they have in that movie is fucking terrifying. Like I just don't think
Yeah.
they could. I mean, they could do it, with CGI stuff now, but I think it loses something along the way.
Yeah. That's the thing is with the older horror movies, it's like more prosthetics and makeup and like practical effects. Whereas nowadays they just like CGI everything. And I think it
Yeah.
was scarier. It was more genuine when they had to actually physically do stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Molly, what about you? Any favorite horror movies?
After just saying that I love old horror movies, I'm gonna go ahead and name a modern one. I'm obsessed with the Conjuring series, like Conjuring,
Oh yes.
Annabelle.
Yeah.
What was that other one? La Lorna, The Curse of La Lorna, and The Nun. Because if you actually like
Oh,
watch
yeah.
them, there's like an order. It's not the order that came out, but there was like an order you're like supposed to watch them in. Like the storylines add up a certain way. So like last Halloween, I watched. That was 2 Halloweens ago. I have no sense of time anymore. The past 3 years have been a blur. But I watched them all in like the order they're supposed to be in, like on one Halloween, like the entire day or like 2 days, and it was actually like really cool the way they like line them up like that.
Yeah, because they all intersect, I think, as far as I know. Like they're all
like it's all one universe.
Yeah.
Blair Witch Project scared me. What else? What other movie scared me? Have you ever seen the movie The Poughkeepsie Tapes? No one's heard of this movie. Okay, that movie scared the shit out of me because it's filmed to look like snuff films. Like it's filmed to look like some guy's just walking around filming on his camcorder while he's torturing people. And so I watched it when I was like 13 or something. And my brother told me it was all real footage because I think he was under the impression it was too. Like I think the way they marketed that movie when it came out was that it was like a documentary and this was the recovered tapes from all these house burglaries. How do you pronounce that? This guy would like go into people's houses and then like torture them in their own house. But like they presented it the same way as like when Blair Witch Project first came out, they presented it as if it was real footage. So I watched it when I was like 13. I thought it was real footage of this guy like slowly sticking needles in people and like torturing them and stuff. Like it horrified me. But then I rewatched it a few years later, once again under the impression that it was like real, and I was showing it to my friends, like, isn't this so scary? And then we're halfway through the movie and we're all sitting there like terrified. My friend brings it up, he goes, "Oh, here's the cast list on IMDb. No, it's not real." I was like, oh, it's not scary anymore then.
Ugh, I mean, they do that too. Like I've seen like fake documentaries recently. Like there's one, I don't know, something about like a ship underwater and they found all this treasure and then I found out it was like fake. And then there was another like alien one too. Oh, here we go.
That's it. That movie scared the shit out of me. But it probably was partially because I was like misinformed about it.
Believed it, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too with like what I think with the the Paranormal Activity movies where it's like, oh, but it could be real, this could happen to you. Anyway, awesome. So talking more about the album Exorcism, were you able to spend like a good chunk of the pandemic writing that album, or do you have some time off?
It was actually entirely finished before the pandemic even began.
Oh, okay.
And then we kind of just held off on releasing it because once we suddenly realized like all of our plans involved touring and shows and everything, and we wanted to have like a huge release party and everything, suddenly we were just like, wait, what do we do? So we actually finished recording it in February 2020 and then didn't release it until June 2021. So that was like a pretty long time to just sit on it because like I knew how good it was and I was listening to it and I was obsessed with it and I wanted to show it to people, but I couldn't. So like it was actually really hard. Like we would send the files to our band had it, but I was like, don't send this to anyone. Like don't let this leak. But yeah, so like trying to keep it like a secret.
It was very hard.
It was so hard.
Oh my god, I can't imagine. That sounds like torture to me.
Yeah, like I'd want to show some friends and family, but like I was like, okay, no, I'm not going to show it to anyone. But then of course it happens. You'd have company over or something, and someone would be like, oh, show them your song, and I'm like, I'm not going to be rude and say no. Okay, fine. And I was like trying not to like let anyone hear it before, but it was so hard not to. But yeah, basically like we finished recording in February, and then all the shit hit the fan in March. So like we were planning on releasing it in October 2020. Yeah, 2020. So I had like singles leading up to it, music videos, and then like we were gonna do like a tour to support it and everything. But then like the second that happened, we were like, okay, time to regroup. Like, what are we doing?
Awesome. Well, it is kind of refreshing though. It's nice that you finished it before then, had all, regular time to do it. I know a lot of people were stuck in places and couldn't get to the studio to record, even though they had all these ideas. But so what did you guys end up doing? Sort of spending most of your time doing during the pandemic?
The last 2 years have been a blur. What did I do? I've written more music. I actually did. I did go to Nashville and record more music last summer. I think Canada was still in a lockdown, but the States wasn't. So I went to Nashville and recorded more music.
Yay, I'm in Nashville.
Oh, cool.
My
I love
hometown,
Nashville.
yeah.
Yeah, I went there and recorded more music with Mitch. What else have we done? We've just like
I think we had lots of practices at one point.
we did the one virtual show. We've been promoting the album. We shot all the music videos during the COVID stuff. All 3 videos were done during it. Yeah, we actually stayed pretty busy.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, some of the bands I've talked to, they've just been like just locked down during the pandemic, just slowly going mad. So nice you got to escape to Nashville.
Yeah.
um, so and I have to say, Molly, it's awesome to talk to like another lady, in this crazy, rock, metal, goth like industry. And like, me obviously female who I guess I classify myself as like a metalhead. I think it's really cool to have what I've recently seen is like more like female like badass women in all these heavy bands. And I know that probably a lot goes on behind the scenes that we don't see, but like it looks like such a like an empowering experience. I mean, like, have you faced much adversity being a female in this industry, or has it mostly been smooth sailing for you?
I have found it is sometimes not beneficial. Like for the most part, I would say like it's like an easy way to market myself. I can get away with like more clickbait than if I was a guy.
Yeah.
Like the Alive video, like that thumbnail. I literally sent it to the group chat and said, "Should I make this picture of my boobs the thumbnail?" Like Ryan's like, "It's not gonna work. People aren't just gonna click on it because of that." And then sure enough, now it has like 90,000 views, and like the comment section is just a cesspool. Yeah. Like I don't even read them because they're the kind of things I can't say out loud with a straight face. But like it's easier to market yourself as a female. It's easier to grab people's attention quickly because people are visual, especially men. Like I can just be like, "Hi, here's my face and boobs. Click on my music," and they'll do it because it works. But there also has been like, there's been parts where like it's not beneficial. Like I have straight up received emails from like program directors at radio stations that are like, "No, sorry, we don't like girl singers." Like
what?
We've gotten like the other end of it as well. So I try to focus on the positive and use it to my advantage and try to benefit from it whenever I can. But you do occasionally get the "sorry, we don't want girls" kind of thing.
Yeah, man, that's awful.
I know. I'm like, it's 2022. Why does this still exist?
I know.
I'm like, literally, some of the best artists on the planet are female. I'm sorry you don't like that.
Yeah, and I'm starting to see like so many more in the past, I don't know, however many years, but it's just been, like badass like lady after another. So I feel like it's, I don't know. Not that they weren't there before, but it's just like I feel like we're starting to see more women in the industry. So
there definitely are more now. And I feel like ones like Lizzie Hale and stuff like really help pave the way for us because like she's a little older than I am and stuff. So like we have a role model to look up to.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are, besides Lizzie Hale that you just mentioned, and Avril Lavigne, which we talked about earlier? So who are some of your other like favorite female artists that have inspired you?
Favorite female artists? Maria Brink from In This Moment. I love Pink. Her voice is amazing. Taylor Momsen from The Pretty Reckless. I love Lilith Starr, although I can't give her credit for influencing the album because her album came out after ours, but I am obsessed with her debut album. Who else? I'm drawing a blank here.
Have you gotten to meet any of these ladies?
I have, yeah. I've met Avril. I've met Lizzie a few times. Lizzie commented on her Instagram once saying she'll see us on the road one day, and I squealed. I was so happy. Who else? I'm totally drawing a blank here. I think those are the only 2 I've met. Okay. Most artists I've met have been male. See, that's the thing. There's so many more male artists in the genre than there are females. Like, if you wanted a list of all the male artists I've met, it's like... But just Avril and Lizzie are the only 2 I've met.
Awesome. Jordan, any favorite female artists?
Definitely Maria Brink and Taylor Momsen. I like all the other bands for sure, but those 2 are like my top 2.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I feel like Maria Brink, she's just I love what she did. Like, I don't know what album it is, but she just kind of like kicked in the door. Like, she decided she was going to put on like the big performance aspect of it, like just have the Britney Spears mic and just be like this, I don't know, metal Britney Spears goddess, and so I love that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I love
like
how
just kind of like
theatrical they are.
performance quality. Yeah, it's awesome. So, all right, sorry, computer is dying. Sorry.
Apparently my phone is like, where are we at? Okay, we should be good.
Okay. So you mentioned, you guys started out a little bit heavier and then you've gone more this kind of like pop, clean singing route. Do you prefer clean singing over screams and growls, or is it kind of a tie?
I kind of prefer screaming. I'm definitely more proud of my screams than my singing because my screaming has like this shock value to it that
Mm-hmm.
like the reaction I get when I scream in front of people the first time is always just like they're always like mind blown. Like when I do it in front of like a producer I'm working with for the first time, they've heard it in recording, sure, but for all they know, it's all distortion and it's edited like crazy. They don't know, right? But like when people see me do it like in person for the first time, like I always just like look at them and they're just sitting there like like I love it. Whereas like with singing, like you don't quite get that as much. Like it's just so funny to me how like people just see like a girl and they think it's gonna sound very feminine and very pretty, and then I just like make this like demonic sounding masculine noise, and people are just like staring at me and they're like, "How do you do?" And I'm like, I don't know. I just figured it out one day.
Just do it.
So screaming's definitely fun, just because it has a shock value to it that I just love.
Awesome. Yeah, I love to nerd out about like different like screaming like vocal techniques. Do you know like what you use? Is it like fry, or is it like false chord, or do you
I do
not
fry.
really? Fry. Okay. Awesome. Jordan, do you scream a little?
No, I don't. I definitely want to. I'm trying to practice, so hopefully in the near future I can do some backup screams. That would be really cool. It's always something.
We're getting there.
Yeah, it's always something I've wanted to do.
We started giving him a microphone at band practice, so he's coming along.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that shit is so hard. Like, I don't think, people who don't listen to metal or who've maybe just never tried it, like, don't realize how hard that is to accomplish. Like, I don't know, I run out of air and then I start like hurting my voice.
Yeah.
It's hard.
How many people assume it's like easy? They're like, oh, you're just screaming. And I'm like, if it was actual screaming, like you would burn out after like 30 seconds. Like you just like rip a vocal cord. I'm like, it's not even actual screaming. I'm like, it is a singing technique.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys are about to go on tour here in April. You guys excited? I mean, do you prefer like, okay, sorry, weird segue into this, but do you enjoy as far as like creating the music, recording the music, writing the music, or do you love being more like on the performance side of like touring?
I love the performance side of touring. I definitely, it's just such a rush every time right before you go on stage. It's like the greatest feeling ever.
I bet.
I'm going to say the complete opposite. I prefer the creating side. I love performing. I do. But being in a studio coming up with the songs is like my favorite thing. Like my favorite thing I can ever do in my life is like being in a studio writing music.
Awesome. Yeah, so anyone watching right now, we have you guys' flyer up right now for your Exorcism tour. You guys are touring with Fate Destroyed, which is awesome. Got a couple of badass ladies joining forces here, so that's awesome. Anyway, what was I saying? Sorry. Yeah, as far as, when you try to explain to someone your sound or your sound off of this newest album, do you find it hard to, begin the topic of like what genre you guys even fall under? Or do you have a go-to genre explanation?
Easiest is to just say metal.
Yeah.
Keep it vague.
It's really hard to figure out what, I guess, subgenre of metal it is, right?
Yeah.
What's the thing? I'm not one of those people who's like super particular or nerdy about like subgenres. Like when you say, oh, I love this metal band, and someone goes, it's not metal, it's post-hardcore, grunge, new, what? Like I'm not one of those people. I'm just like, whatever, I don't care what it is, it sounds good.
Yeah,
but like if I had to label it, I'm like, it's like gothic heavy metal with some like pop punk influence, and I say it's like fun, playful, like attitude-y heavy metal, and then like by then the person's raising an eyebrow at me and I'm like, just listen to it.
Yeah. You have to experience it. It's funny. I was reading, I think, some kind of headline or something that was like the pop punk goth metal rock like band.
Yeah.
Like, oh. Well, that's all of them. That's everything. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come chat with me here. And yeah, it's been an honor to talk with you guys. And so thank you so much for joining us. I think that is all the time that we have. For everyone watching, make sure you go check out the Living Dead Girls Facebook page. Check out their new album. I think we have some kind of screens going up here. Yep, here's the link to go check out Exorcism. And yeah, see if you can join them on their tour here in April. Anyway, thanks you guys so much for coming out. And thank you so much for everyone watching.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Thank you. We hope you've enjoyed this Comic Crusaders production. For real-time news on all things pop culture, please feel free to follow us on social media. For articles, original content, merchandise, and more, please go to www.comiccrusaders.shop. Also follow along with all of the websites of the Comic Crusaders family. As always, if you like this content, please click like and subscribe to the Comic Crusaders YouTube channel.